It's a good day, ladies and gentlemen. It is a very, very good day. You know, the mainstream media and the left, they sit up on their high horse, right, in their ivory tower, and they look down at the lowly peon Trump supporters, and they say, "Oh, these people have all been fooled. Donald Trump did in fact work with the Russians. This investigation will prove that." And these people will have to, come to the reality that the only reason that Donald Trump was able to beat the goddess Hillary Clinton is because of Russia, right? That's what they like to say, right? And they're willing to literally go to any point to try and prove that. It's like they're racing to try and prove that Donald Trump worked with the Russians. They don't care about the outcome of this investigation. The mainstream media, the left, they don't care about the outcome of this investigation. All they care about is that the investigation is going on, and they're using that as a way to say, oh, this is the reason Donald Trump won the election. It's because of the Russians. Again, they don't know. There's no proof, right? But if you watch CNN, you watch ABC, you listen to liberals, you go to Twitter, it makes it seem like they know for sure, that they already have some sort of insight that none of us have because the investigation hasn't even concluded yet. The guy running the investigation, Robert Mueller, doesn't even know, right? But for some reason, the liberals know and the mainstream media knows. It makes no sense to me. It's beyond me, ladies and gentlemen. But again, they're using this as a way to try and discredit Donald Trump because they can't believe that Hillary Clinton lost the election. Because historically, the mainstream media has been the driving force behind candidates in the election. If the mainstream media got behind a candidate, that candidate was going to win, right? Historically. But now the approval ratings of the mainstream media is lower than Congress, which is very hard. You've reached a rock bottom when your approval ratings are lower than that of Congress. It's just pretty pathetic at that point, and you should definitely do something about that. So the term fake news is obviously spread around a lot when it comes to the mainstream media, and they like to push it to the side, say, we are not fake news, we are real news. Donald Trump, Jake Tapper said, Donald Trump calling us fake news is the equivalent of the N-word for journalists, even though it's accurate to call them fake news because they've been spreading fake news. Case in point, Brian Ross of ABC News, which we're going to get into right now. So the news broke last week, the latter part of last week, that Michael Flynn admitted to lying to the FBI about meeting with Russians while he was with the Trump campaign, right? He admitted to meeting with the Russians, and he had lied to the FBI about it. Now, right there, the mainstream media had a story. They could have taken that. They could have spun it. There was no evidence with Donald Trump still, right? There's still no evidence tying. Again, I am waiting for the conclusion of the Russia investigation. If this investigation concludes and it shows that Donald Trump, committed some serious crime involved with the, I'm definitely going to hold him accountable. Do I think that that's going to happen? No. Right? But if it does, I will definitely hold him accountable. But I am waiting for the conclusion of the investigation, which is something that the mainstream media and the left aren't doing. But again, like I said, they don't care about the conclusion. That is just like some bothersome small, there's going to be a conclusion to this. I can't use this for the rest of my life to discredit Donald Trump. No, there's going to be a conclusion to this investigation at some point. So the bad news broke about Michael Flynn lying to the FBI. Now, that wasn't bad for Trump, but the mainstream media could have spun that. Well, Brian Ross on ABC News, because the mainstream media, every source wants to be the first one to jump on this train and be the first to break the big story that Donald Trump's a criminal, right? Brian Ross on ABC News, Brian Ross is an investigative journalist, right, for ABC News, broke a story, which I'm going to read to you right now from their Twitter page. And it sounds pretty bad. I'm not going to lie. Just in, Brian Ross on ABC News special report. Michael Flynn promised, quote, full cooperation to the Mueller team, end quote, and is prepared to testify that as a candidate, Donald Trump, quote, directed him to make contact with the Russians, end quote. Now that story breaks, right? Everybody loses their crap. The mainstream media goes crazy. The liberals go crazy. The stock market drops. People lose money. And then ABC News releases a clarification saying, clarification of ABC News special report. Flynn prepared to testify that President-elect Donald Trump directed him to make contact with the Russians during the transition, so he'd already won, during the transition, initially as a way to work together to fight ISIS in Syria, Confidant now says. So it went from Donald Trump directed Michael Flynn during the campaign to meet with the Russians to undermine Hillary Clinton and the electoral college system in this country. 2, Donald Trump just wants a good relationship with the Russians, and we want to make sure we can fight ISIS in Syria. Isn't it funny how that flipped? That quickly, it flipped. You know, it's funny because, now again, Brian Ross is suspended for 4 weeks without pay. Donald Trump tweeted that people should sue. You should sue ABC News for spreading fake news and people losing money in the stock market because of the crash. It wasn't really a crash. It just fell a little bit because of the story. But turns out Trump just wanted good relations with Russia. God forbid, that we have good relations with another world power. I don't understand why the left is so against that. If President Obama had been fighting for good relations with Russia, it wouldn't be an issue at all. It wouldn't be an issue at all. I mean, look, Hillary Clinton sold 20% of our uranium reserves to Russia. She had the Russian reset. All of these complete failures, and nobody cares about what Hillary Clinton did. It's literally just because it's Donald Trump and he has an R next to his name. An R next to his name. That's the only reason that the left and the mainstream media don't want good relations. Because they don't want Donald Trump to be successful. This is part of Donald Trump being successful. If you want to be a successful president in terms of foreign policy, probably should try and get along with the other world powers. Doesn't make much sense to be in constant conflict with the Russians if you want to be a successful president in terms of foreign policy. And if he's directing Michael Flynn to meet with the Russians to discuss how to handle ISIS in Syria, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that at all. I have a problem with Flynn lying about it. I don't have a problem with Trump asking him to do it. But anyway, the mainstream media likes to push back against this whole fake news title. If they really don't like being called fake news, they should probably stop spreading fake news. That would be a good first step. Don't spread it, and you won't be called fake news. There's a reason that term started. It wasn't Trump just pretending they were fake news. It was legitimately the media lying about Donald Trump. But anyway, that is it for the video today, ladies and gentlemen. If you enjoyed, make sure you like and share, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any more. I will catch up with you guys next time. Bye-bye.